The sky over Portland wept without pause that Tuesday afternoon. A relentless gray drumming on the roof of my beat-up Forester, each thrum of the windshield wipers struggling to clear a path through the deluge. I was pulling into the familiar parking lot of Lily's daycare, my mind already halfway to dinner, plans tuna melts, probably, and a fight over bath time. Then a sharp digital chime from the cup holder sliced through the rhythm of the rain. I glanced down, expecting a message from Marcus about a late meeting or a reminder to pick up his dry cleaning. But the words that glowed on the screen felt like a physical blow, sucking the air from my lungs. Asterisk Barcelona with Isabel. Savings are yours. Don't contact me. Asterisk my fingers went numb on the steering wheel. The world, just a moment ago filled with the mundane thoughts of a working mother, narrowed to that cold blue light. My daughter, my 5-year-old Lily, was just inside those doors, her little hand probably clutching the superhero keychain on her tiny backpack, waiting for me. I was Nora Callahan, 38. A freelance children's book illustrator who had joyfully traded a corner office for crayon masterpieces on the fridge. And in the space of a single text message, I had become the ex-wife of Marcus Thorne, the man who had just vaporized our shared life, our savings. A decade of scrimping, every late-night illustration gig, every skipped vacation, every penny carefully set aside. $15,000. Gone. I fumbled with my phone, my hands shaking as I opened my banking app. The joint savings account, our foundation, was an empty chasm. The checking account held a pathetic $412. Renta staggering. $2,500 was due in 4 days. A wave of nausea washed over me. I forced the car door open, the icy rain immediately soaking through my thin jacket as I ran across the parking lot. The daycare smelled of disinfectant, warm milk, and that sweet, irreplaceable scent of childhood. It was a comforting, chaotic world that suddenly felt a million miles away. Mommy. Lily's voice was a sunbeam. She ran to me, her dark curls bouncing, a bright, beautiful question in her eyes. Did you see the picture I painted? It's a rainbow lion. I knelt, forcing a smile that felt like cracking porcelain. I can't wait to see it, sweet pea. Let's get it home and put it right on the wall. My hand trembled as I signed the outsheet, the daycare director's cheerful questions about our weekend fading into a dull roar in my ears. Marcus's text message played on a cruel loop in my mind. Isabel, his new assistant. All sleek ambition and knowing smiles, the one who always laughed a little too loudly at his jokes during company parties. I had seen the signs the late nights he swore were deadlines, the way he angled his phone away from me, the impatience in his voice when I asked who he was texting. I had buried those signs under a mountain of trust. Now they were a blazing monument to my own foolishness on the car. As Lily chattered about her rainbow lion from her booster seat, I typed a reply. 3 words to contain the primal scream building in my chest. Have a nice life, my heart hammered, not with rage, but with the cold, suffocating terror of pure survival. How do you protect your child when the ground beneath your feet has been ripped away? I gripped the steering wheel, the blurred lights of the Portland skyline swimming in my vision, and I made a silent, desperate vow. Lily would never, ever see me break. Back in our small apartment, the rain still lashing against the windows, I put on Lily's favorite movie and gave her a bowl of popcorn. Her innocent giggles were a fragile shield against the storm brewing inside me. My stomach in a knot of dread, I dialed the bank. The customer service representative was professionally placid, her detached voice confirming the worst. Marcus had transferred the entire $15,000 that morning into an international account, under his name only. Because it was a joint account, ma'am, she explained with practiced sympathy. He had every legal right to access the funds. There's nothing we can do. I hung up and sank onto the couch, the phantom weight of his betrayal pressing down on my ribs, making it hard to breathe. 12 years ago, at a marketing conference in San Diego, he had been the charming go-getter who left clever notes in my sketchbook and spoke of a future with such conviction, I couldn't help but believe him. I was a rising star at a small design firm then, my own ambitions burning bright. He was the one who convinced me to move to Portland, to go freelance when Lily was born so I could have flexibility. His career took off while mine became a quiet, domestic hum. He carried us, he'd said. Now I saw he'd been carrying us right to the edge of a cliff. The cracks had been there for years. The unexplained credit card charges expensive dinners, hotel rooms that appeared 2 years ago. Right after we sold our first condo to invest in his friend's can't-miss tech startup. The venture imploded within 6 months, taking our nest egg with it. He'd blamed market volatility, and I, the trusting fool, had let him. His mother, Eleanor, had always been his quiet accomplice. She would sweep in from her pristine Seattle home, her designer heels clicking on our hardwood floors like a metronome of disapproval. "Lily needs more structure. Nora," she'd say, her gaze sweeping over my paint-splattered jeans. "You're far too permissive." Marcus never said a word in my defense. His silence was its own long, slow poison. My phone rang, jarring me from the bitter memories. It was Eleanor. Her voice was pure ice. "Nora, what is this I hear? Marcus is distraught. He says you're threatening to keep Lily from him unless he sends you money." The audacity of it was breathtaking. "Eleanor, he left me. He's moving to Barcelona with his assistant. He took every penny of our savings. Don't you dare play the victim with me," she snapped, her voice dripping with venom. "Seen the messages. You've told me how you've been blackmailing him, using his daughter as a pawn." The call ended, but her words hung in the air, a toxic fog. He wasn't just leaving. He was salting the earth behind him. He was crafting a narrative with his mother as his co-author that painted me as a vindictive, unstable gold digger. The fear that had been a cold knot in my stomach now ignited into a white-hot rage. This was no longer just about money. It was about my daughter. It was about the truth. I looked over at Lily, completely absorbed in her movie, her small face illuminated by the screen. He thought he could just erase us. He had no idea who he was dealing with the next morning. After a sleepless night and a tearful drop-off at daycare, I drove to Marcus's downtown office tower. The Portland rain was a miserable gray shroud over the city. I needed to see his face. I needed to understand. The receptionist, a young woman who had always been friendly, looked deeply uncomfortable when I asked for him. "Mr. Thorne, he resigned last week," she stammered, fiddling with a pen. "Friday was his last day." "Last week?" My voice sounded hollow. "That's impossible. He was here on Monday." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "He submitted his resignation 2 weeks ago." "I'm sorry, Ms. Callahan. That's all I can say. 2 weeks." While I was planning Lily's class potluck and sketching characters for a new book, he had been systematically dismantling our life. The cruelty of it wasn't impulsive. It was a meticulously planned demolition. In the sterile silence of the parking garage, I called his oldest friend, David. His voice was cautious. "Nora." "Hey, is everything okay?" "You knew," I said, the words, flat and heavy. "You knew he was leaving me." Long pause hung between us, thick with guilt. "Nora, Hi. He made me swear," David finally mumbled. "He said he needed a clean break, but you two were making each other miserable. He said Isabel made him happy." Happy? The word tasted like ash. "He drained our savings account, David. He left me with $400 and a 5-year-old. Did he tell you that part?" "Oh, God, no," he whispered. "I had no idea." I hung up, another layer of betrayal scarring over the first. When I got home, a certified letter was waiting. 'Twas his divorce petition filed a week ago, listing a Barcelona address and a clause where he formally relinquished all parental rights to Lily. A cover letter from his attorney claimed I had substantial personal savings and was financially independent. a vicious, calculated lie designed to leave me with nothing. Fueled by adrenaline and fury, I tore through his home office. In a forgotten desk drawer, beneath a stack of old utility bills, was an envelope addressed to Eleanor. Inside, a birthday card. The printed message was generic, but his handwriting beneath it was a smoking gun. Asterisk. Mom, thank you again for the deposit on the Barcelona apartment. Isabel and I can't wait to host you. Couldn't have done it without you. Love M***. The card was dated 3 months ago. 3 months. Eleanor hadn't just known. She had financed his escape. My hands shook as I photographed the card with my phone, the pieces of their conspiracy clicking into place. This was never about a failing marriage. This was a hostile takeover of my life. I sat across from Sarah Hayes, a divorce attorney whose name I got from an old college friend. Her office was modest, overlooking the Willamette River, and her gaze was sharp but kind. I laid everything out on her desk. The divorce petition, the bank statements showing the zero balance, the photo of the note to Eleanor. He took everything, I said, my voice finally cracking, and he's trying to destroy my reputation, so he doesn't have to pay a dime. Ms. Hayes's eyes narrowed as she reviewed the documents. What he did with the joint account isn't technically illegal, Nora, but it's what we call dissipation of assets, and judges despise it. This wasn't an act of desperation. It was premeditated financial abandonment. She leaned forward, her expression firm. We file for an emergency hearing. We motion for temporary child support, custody, and we try to freeze whatever assets he has left. We need to prove he has income he's hiding. That evening, a call from my parents in Eugene was a lifeline. We're wiring you money for rent and then some. My mom said, no room for argument in her voice. You are not alone in this. For the first time in 2 days, I could take a full breath. Later, with Lily tucked safely in bed, I went back to Marcus's abandoned laptop. His passwords were all pathetically predictable: Lily's birthday, our anniversary. I tried them on his cloud storage account. It opened, and there it was. His entire secret life, laid bare in folders and files. Flight confirmations, love letters to Isabel, and a document that made my blood run cold. It was labeled Custody Strategy. My stomach churned as I read. He and Eleanor had a detailed plan to use my bout with postpartum depression from 5 years ago, something I had fought through with therapy and his supposed support to paint me as an unstable, unfit mother and sue for full custody of Lily. Once they were settled in Spain, the man who had held my hand and told me I was strong, who had urged me to get help, had been gathering ammunition all along. And then I found the text exchange with his mother. Eleanor's words dated months ago. Asterisk, once you're established, we file. Her history is our biggest advantage. The court will see she's too volatile for a child. Asterisk, buried deeper was a statement for a Cayman Islands account, set up with Eleanor's help years before, holding over $45,000. It wasn't just our savings he'd been hiding. It was so much more. I forwarded everything to Ms. Hayes, my hands shaking not with fear anymore, but with a cold, righteous fury. They thought they could erase me. They were about to find out how hard a mother will fight. The call came while Lily and I were on the floor, our fingers covered in blue paint. An unknown number. The voice, however, was unmistakable. It was Isabel, her usual crisp confidence sounding thin and frayed. Nora, we have to talk. I can't imagine what we have to talk about, I said, my voice dangerously low. He's hiding money from me, too, she said, the words rushing out. A different account. In Jersey, over $200,000. He told me it was a trust, but I found the statements. It's coming back to Portland, Nora. He booked a flight for tomorrow. It's completely unhinged, and frankly, I'm scared. What do you want from me, Isabel? Protection, she said. I have copies of everything. The bank transfers, emails between him and his mother detailing the whole plan. If I give them to you, I need your lawyer to grant me immunity from any civil action. He will ruin me if he finds out I talked. After a quick call, Ms. Hayes drafted an agreement. By evening, I had a digital folder brimming with irrefutable evidence. Bank statements from the Jersey account and a sworn affidavit from Isabel detailing Marcus and Eleanor's entire scheme. Her betrayal of him wasn't for me. It was for herself. But it was the final nail in his coffin. As I saved the files, my heart pounded. Marcus was coming back, but this time I would be the one waiting for him. The Portland courthouse was cold and imposing, but Ms. Hayes's calm presence was a grounding force. As we waited for the emergency hearing, we came face to face with Eleanor. Her face was a mask of contempt. "You should be ashamed of yourself," she hissed. Ms. Hayes stepped. "Between us, I'd be quiet if I were you, Eleanor. You'll be getting a subpoena." Aiding and abetting parental abandonment carries serious consequences. Eleanor, BLANCHED. In the courtroom, Ms. Hayes laid out the case with surgical precision. The text. Drained account, the secret job, the Cayman account, the Jersey account, and finally the custody plan, detailing their intent to use my past health struggles against me. The judge, a woman with sharp, intelligent eyes, grew visibly colder with each piece of evidence. Marcus's lawyer's attempts to paint me as an aggressor were cut short. "Believe I've heard quite enough," the judge said, her voice like steel. She granted every one of our motions. All known accounts were frozen. I was awarded temporary, sole, physical, and legal custody of Lily. Marcus was restricted to supervised visitation only, pending a full financial investigation. As we left, Eleanor's glare followed me, but for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I felt the tide turn. I was no longer a victim treading water. I was fighting back. The next morning, my phone rang. "This is Lucia Vega from Horizon Global in Barcelona," a woman said in accented English. "We received an email from your address regarding Christopher Caldwell. He was terminated yesterday due to the legal entanglements you brought to our attention." "I didn't send you any email," I said, my pulse skyrocketing. She forwarded it. The message was a distorted, venomous version of my situation, with attachments of my own legal filings. My apartment was secure. There was only one other person who'd had access to those papers. Eleanor. She'd come over the day after Marcus left. Feigning sympathy, all while looking for something to use. She had sabotaged her own son's job to ensure he couldn't pay child support, hoping it would invalidate the court order. Minutes later, Marcus called, his voice raw with fury. "You got me fired? It was your mother," I said calmly and forwarded him the email. She was the only other person with access to those documents. He went silent. An hour later, he sent me a string of texts. A conversation between him and his mother, where she confessed to sending the email, admitting she did it to protect the family assets from that greedy woman. The betrayal had come full circle. I sent it all to Ms. Hayes, who immediately filed for identity fraud charges against Eleanor, with Isabel's evidence and proof of Marcus's impending arrival. Ms. Hayes secured an emergency restraining order. When his flight landed, he wasn't met by a town car, but by airport security. The hearing the next day was a formality. The forensic accounting that followed was a revelation, uncovering even more hidden funds. The court awarded me the entirety of our original savings, punitive damages, and a significant portion of the hidden offshore accounts. Margaret faced criminal charges and public humiliation, her carefully constructed world imploding. Christopher's professional reputation was destroyed. He used his supervised visitation rights twice, then stopped, fading from Lily's life completely. Months later, the storm had passed. With the recovered funds, I bought a bright, airy condo in the Alberta Arts District. I took a senior designer position at a firm that celebrated my talent and understood the realities of being a single mother. Our new home was filled not with the ghosts of betrayal, but with the scent of canvas and the sound of Lily's laughter. One evening, as I tucked her into her star-themed bed, She looked up at me. "Is Daddy ever coming back?" she asked, her voice small. "I don't know, my love," I said honestly, stroking her hair. "But it doesn't matter, because we are a team, you and me. We are enough." Her smile was my sunrise. The text message that was meant to be my end was, instead, my beginning. It ignited a strength I never knew I possessed, a fire forged in betrayal and tempered by a fierce, unconditional love for my child. I wasn't just a survivor picking up the pieces. I was an artist building a new life from scratch, brushstroke by brilliant brushstroke. And this life, this beautiful, resilient life, was my masterpiece.